And moving on to business now, let's talk about the air cargo and haulage. And we'll look at the story. African Airlines cargo demand in March increased by 24.6% compared to the same month in 2019, which is the strongest of all regions. This is attributed to the robust expansion on the Asia-Africa trade lanes that contributed to the strong growth. The International Air Transport Association also released March 2021 data for global air cargo markets, showing that air cargo demand continued to outperform pre-COVID levels, with demand up by 4.4%. Global capacity continued to recover in March, up by 5.6% compared to the previous month. Despite this, capacity remains 11.7% below pre-COVID-19 levels due to the ongoing grounding of passenger aircraft. IATA's Director General Willie Walsh observed that amid the demand spike, airlines are taking all measures to find the needed capacity and that it is also a bright spot for aviation. The aviation sector was decimated with the COVID-19 sector and with the industry adopting air cargo innovations. This will help recuperate the industry and drive long-term efficiency. Well, joining me on the news at this hour is CEO of Aviators Africa, Tony Ukachukwu. Good to see you this morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
All right. So will these surges in cargo traffic be enough to complement for the reduction in human air traffic?
It will not complement, though we see positive, increase in air cargo demands. It cannot complement for air passenger cargo. So what we find out is that the cargo sector will continue to see improvement and patronage and sustainability, but they cannot complement for passenger. There is need for passenger numbers to come back, to pre-COVID times, and we're looking at 2023, 2025 according to IATA. So yes, though the cargo sector has improved dramatically pre-COVID and post and in COVID, during the lockdown and during COVID as well, it will continue to increase, but passenger it cannot complement for the passenger decline.
All right, Tony, another positive from this is the increase in online trading. Shopping, talk about shopping online, buying things online. It has become more common since the lockdown induced by the coronavirus. Could it add to sustaining air cargo transactions?
Definitely. All indicators point to, due to e-commerce, that is going to, the air cargo sector will be, continue to see improvement. So yes, it will continue to thrive, especially now that e-commerce has taken a spike, according to how people, shop and consume goods. So definitely we'll see more of improvements in the air cargo sector, because the way people live and consume goods have dramatically changed due to COVID, where people order online. So cargo definitely will continue to thrive. However, we've also seen coming to Nigeria, privy to some domestic cargo airlines being springing up because of that gap, that has been, in place. Of course, in Nigeria, we have some kind of food shortage, so we are going to see some cargo companies come up to make sure that there's distribution of, moving good food from some areas to other areas. So yes, cargo is here to stay, and it's going to also see some more patronage as we go on.
That's interesting. All right. Incidentally, in Nigeria, many new carriers from Nigeria are coming into the business. If you recall, way back in 2019, just a few years back, we were mentioning names like Ibom Air, Air Peace, but now we're starting to see Eagle, Green, and even BK Airlines. What is attracting these new carriers?
So it beats industry watchers, because the truth is people are looking at the population of Nigeria, which is over 200 million, but they're not putting into consideration the flying public, where we have less than 10% of Nigerians fly, and more and more people have less disposable income. So what you see is that there will be decline in people traveling. So the proliferation of more airlines into the space will be good for the consumers, but it will be bad business for the carriers, because there'll be very sharp competition trying to compete for the little amount of passengers that are flying. So what we'll see in the long term is that there'll not be sustainability of this influx, because we hear about 23 airlines are trying to get their AOC in this small market. So we shouldn't look at the size of our population, but rather we should look at the number of those that fly by air, which basically is government, is business travel, and those that are government and contractors. So if you look at the numbers, less than 10 million, and you have 23 airlines coming on board perhaps between now and the next 2 years, I don't see how that is sustainable.
All right. Lastly, Tony, before I let you go, let's look at the instability in the dollar, the rise and fall in the dollar, how it's actually impacting on these cargoes, and more importantly, how it's going to have a strong impact on these new carriers. What do you think?
So basically, it's a big problem, assessing forex for the domestic carriers. As you find, the capacity had really shrunk, and the air carriers in Nigeria are having issues with their schedules and operations, where they don't have capacity because most of their aircrafts are abroad, for maintenance, and they don't have access to forex to pay for this and to pay for parts as well. So what you see is that the capacity in Nigeria has shrunk, and passengers are being frustrated because airlines don't have the aircraft on ground to go to leave them to their various destinations. So this is the lack of access to forex. The lack of access to forex, of course, is impeding majorly on the domestic market or aviation in general. Of course, you know that aviation is a dollar-denominated market, and so without access to forex, it's going to impede greatly on the performance and operations of air carriers in Nigeria.
I want to say thank you so much, CEO Aviators Africa, Tony Ukachuku, for talking to us. It's always a great sport having you.
Thank you for having me.